What's going on, guys? Welcome in. Beers Daily Fantasy Six-Pack talking NFL Week 11 over on FanDuel. 6 of my favorite players. And we always end each video with, of course, the beast of the week. So let's get into it today. Should be an interesting slate of games. A lot of choices to make. Let's start with making our quarterback choice. We're going to go with a guy I think is underpriced right now. Russell Wilson, just $7,400. Now, Russell Wilson certainly looked like the guy that we've seen over the last couple seasons, over the last 2 weeks. Giving you mid-20s fantasy production, that's really what we're looking for out of Russell Wilson. All season long, we've been worried about his injuries, but playing much healthier right now, that's the guy we want. He's running a little bit more, starting to get some clarity in this offense. Thomas Rawls is back. They've got what they've wanted out of CJ Prosise, obviously, when they drafted him. And we know Doug Baldwin on top of his game along with Jimmy Graham. So lots of weapons here is the point for Russell Wilson. Now the price, I think you're buying extremely low. It's a guy that should be priced much higher. There's names above him that I question should be there. So you can get a price on a guy like Wilson at $7,400. It's going to open up and allow you to get a stud or two into your lineup. So decent matchup here. Philadelphia, pretty good defense. But last couple times they've hit in the road, not been well to them. 57 points allowed in those games. So always a tough place to play in Seattle. Wilson's underpriced, looks much healthier. $7,400, too tough for me to ignore. All right, let's go to the running back position. This one's going to be controversial, but keep rolling them out here. Todd Gurley, $6,700. Now, some of you have probably written him off. You're done with it. You're sick of going back to that well. I understand that. It's been a rough ride for a guy like Todd Gurley, but I think this is a decent matchup for him here against Miami. He's been a lot better against the run of late, but the touches have been there for him. This guy's too good to be this bad. So if you didn't want to run him in cash games, I understand. Not exactly the safest guy, but in tournaments, I still think there's a big upside there. I think he's going to be very low owned. A lot of people are going to jump ship if they haven't already off Todd Gurley, and maybe with good reason, but I'm going to continue to go to that well. I just think there's a lot of room for you to get 3-4 times value on that salary. If he has a big game, not costing you a lot, and he's going to be low owned. So definitely one of my favorite tournament running backs of the week, Todd Gurley. Big games coming. Let's hope it's this week against Miami. All right, let's go to the wide receiver position. Another guy finally starting to break out of his funk, Allen Robinson, $7,400. So there's signs of life. We were wondering, is Allen Robinson alive? Is he going to do anything? In the last couple games, he showed us, hey, I'm still here, getting a ton of targets in this offense, still the lead dog in this offense, and a nice matchup here with Detroit. A secondary I've picked on all season long. I know there's people that are worried about Darius Slay. Don't think he's exactly been as good as people want to give him credit for, especially this season. So tough for me to ignore these targets for Allen Robinson. Touchdowns in each of the last 2 games, 17 and 23 fantasy points. I think this one could go back and forth. Both offenses pretty good. Both defenses certainly leave a lot to be desired. Allen Robinson, nice fair price on him as well at $7,400. To the tight end position, going to go with Delanie Walker at Indy, $6,400. These two teams just played last month, and you see the numbers there for Delanie Walker, and you saw what he did last week, and you see the evolution of Marcus Mariota. I still think you're getting a nice deal here on a guy like Delanie Walker in a game with a big 53-point total. Both teams certainly going to be viable and certainly going to score some points here. And Delanie's found the end zone in 4 of the last 6 games for Tennessee. Not to mention the Colts have really struggled against the tight end position. You see how they rate out there, bottom 10 in the league against the tight end position. So both teams should go back and forth here. Delanie's always got a nice floor with the targets he gets in this offense. Got to be one of the better bets to score a touchdown on the weekend. Delanie Walker, nice high-end tight end play for you at $6,400. All right, let's go to the mid-range here for our other wide receiver, Jamison Crowder of Washington, $6,300. Now, Crowder just continues to get better. It's frustrating sometimes to roster a Washington receiver, but I think this guy's risen to the top of who you want here out of Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson. I think it's Crowder, the guy that you want to look to. Kirk Cousins obviously has a great rapport with a guy like Jordan Reed, but we've seen Crowder early on in this season, kind of went through a lull, and now recently hit a lot of red zone targets. So that's now 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games alone for him, not to mention 28 targets in those 3 games. So those are numbers I like to see. And I know Deshaun Jackson expected to be back here in this game, but this is a Green Bay secondary. This is going to be like Oprah handing out touchdowns. So got to think Jamison Crowder going to be one of those guys that scores a touchdown against this awful defense. Get yourself some exposure to this Washington offense. All right, it's beast time. Let's get to it. Let's look at my favorite play of the week We call him the Beast of the Week. All right, Beast time. We're going to go with my boy. You know by now, at running back, I love me some LeGarrette Blount, 7,300 at San Francisco. This week's Beast of the Week. Now you're going to hear, is this a Brady game? Is this a Blount game? Look, this is San Francisco. This is going to be an everyone game. So if you want to roster Tom Brady, I have no issues with that, obviously. If you want to roster Martellus Bennett, Julian Edelman, no problem with that. But LeGarrette Blount, to me, this seems almost too easy. The guy just gets rushing touchdowns each and every week. Had 3 of them last week against a good Seattle defense, which I know there's some penalties, some cheap touchdowns in there, but hey, 3 touchdowns is 3 touchdowns. That's now 8 touchdowns in the last 5 games for him. And this run D for San Francisco, we know by now. You pick on it, you expose it. Did David Johnson do what we wanted him to do last week? Probably not, but pretty much every running back has done what we wanted them to do against San Francisco, and you're not paying an exorbitant price on him. 7,300. You know touchdowns are very valuable on FanDuel compared to PPR on DraftKings. Blount, I think he goes back-to-back here. Bold call, 3 touchdowns for LeGarrette Blount against the San Francisco 49ers in this week's Beast of the Week. All right, guys, that'll do it for FanDuel Week 11. Stay tuned for our DraftKings 6-pack. We'll give you 6 players over there, so if you're a DK player, keep a lookout for that. Any questions, as always, give me a shout in the comment section. You can reach out and follow me on Twitter at BeerMakersFan. Always taking your questions over there. And if you enjoyed the 6-pack, guys, do me a favor. Head over to our YouTube page. Give us a thumbs up there. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys checking us out. For rotogrinders.com, I am Beer saying salut. Best of luck this weekend. Be back with DK, and we'll be back for Week 12 next week. Good luck, guys.